he's trying to find ways to help us sort of address this, this loss in revenue. One way is to share the, actually, I'm sorry, to offset some of the impact of the sales tax charge with the elimination of the shared election charges by establishing, that would be, this year he's proposing to cut it 50% for the years 2011 and 2012. The sales tax distribution cutback for us would impact us by $42,918. His attempt to help us out with the Board of Election costs for 2011 2012 would help us out by $20,088. The net impact would be $22,830 according to his budget office. He's also tried to give us an option to pay that bill over 2 years. So we have budgeted this year $8,000 for election costs. So actually, for that $22,000 flatly, we have to come up with $12,000 to deal with the election costs for the next 2 years. We could do that with our fund balance or whatever. We've talked about that at the budget, and it's something that we could deal with. As at 2013, next year, there'll be a complete elimination of the Board of Election costs. That is a reduction of $21,009 for the town of Rhinebeck. So that's one way he's trying to help out. Another option he's giving out there for the towns in general is an establishment of a new $1 million competitive grant program. It's meant to incentivize the consolidation and improvement of efficiency ideas that may be considered by towns, so on. I've asked him about, I've said to him it's kind of hard to envision how we could benefit from this, but he's assured me that some sort of shared service consolidation ideas with the village is definitely something that is accessible to us. So that's something we are communicating about for the future. And I've talked to him at least 4 times this week alone. I've talked to his finance department, and I've talked to, as I mentioned before, to his public works commissioner. So to say that he's cutting us off from sales tax, what he's doing is he's trying to help the county budget to be sustainable. That benefits us. If they're not sustainable, we're going to have problems after that. So I want to support it in that way. But being that he is so open and reaching out to myself and our town, I got to actually oppose a resolution like this because he's so willing to work with us for the future. So. Anyways, anybody else?
Well, I'm glad he's open in speaking to you, Tom, but if you project out that county budget down the road and to next year, and with the jail building, it's only going to get worse. And if we allow this reduction in our sales tax to happen this year, it's only going to be worse next year. It's not going to be better.
Okay, I don't agree with that, and I don't know if that's true. That's something that he would have to address. So.
But bottom line, he's trying to solve his problem by giving us less money, and we got our own problems,
and also
and we have nobody to pass it on to other than our taxpayers.
That's not true. That's not true. We've been cutting money that we've been giving to programs like Young Rhinebeck, some of the sports organizations, Sinterklaas, some other organizations. We've been cutting that for years, and now they're at the point where they're doing the same thing. And with the Dutchess County aging or whatever it is, I don't know that. Yeah. We just got a letter from them asking. We cut that out 3-4 years. We've cut thousands and thousands of dollars.
We've been
dealing with this.
Right, so we either got to tax for it or cut services.
But that's what we've been doing. So let's be honest with everybody that we've been cutting over the years the doles to other people.
Right, now he wants us to do more.
Well, we're going to have to.
We are going to have to, but the main point for me that bothers me is the cap really does, okay, so everybody's hurting, we're all tightening our belts, but when it gets better, we won't have a sip of that cream. And
I don't think that that's true. I think this is only a 3-year plan for them.
You think it'll be
That's what I
resolved?
understand. It's a
Let's hope,
3-year
let's hope so. The other thing is that, under the Help America Vote Act, that's when all the funding of the election costs changed. When we paid for our own election costs, I believe it was a lot more affordable than it was under the county. So while he is helping to pay for it, he's helping to pay for something that became more expensive to us under their watch. We're a little bit more frugal, I think, on this level than the county or the state or the federal government. So it's, my oath is to Rhinebeck. I respect and, I'm glad that you have a good relationship with the county and the county executive, but, I am here to protect our constituents and our budget.
Right.
So,
I'm here to protect them too.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if the county's not sustainable, it'll be a lot worse next year. This is just the
I
top.
mean, look at Columbia County, they don't really even have a county government. Should the burden of more of this be on the towns and the state than the county? Is it a sustainable government?
Kathy?
Thank you. Yes, just the comment regarding the election costs. It was only in 2011 that the election costs, and Elizabeth touched on this, became the responsibility of the towns because the county pushed that off. So now one of the mitigations to the impact of the loss of revenue from the shared sales tax is that they're helping us out with the election costs that they only, which was another form of cut that they put on us in 2011. So you can't say we're reducing the hurt that we're giving you because we're taking back another hurt that we gave you, partially. So I just wanted to point that out. That it was only in 2011 that the town started having to pay for election costs. So that they're talking about reimbursing partial for 2011 and 2012. And in 2013, it's going back to the way that it was, where the county will be picking up election costs and not the towns. That's not some big boom for the town. That's going back to historically the way it was.
Well, hopefully we'll get through and
So,
I would like to motion this
motion?
resolution.
Okay. Is there a second?
second.
By a roll call, Councilperson Fox?
Aye,
Councilperson
proudly.
Councilperson Geld?
Aye.
Councilperson Washburn?
Aye, with the changes we agreed on.
Councilperson Spenzia?
Aye.
And Supervisor Nay. That's so moved. So item 11 is a motion to approve the RFP for the Vanderbilt Cove Sewer District Operator.
Motion.
Second.
This is for the Vanderbilt Cove, the operator. It's something where we have to go out to bid. The operator needs to have someone there every single day at both plants, needs to check everything, record the flows, check that the plants are processing properly. We'd held this over, going out to bid for this as we converted from the sand filters to the BioClears. You may remember that, but now it's time to go out to bid. And so I asked John to dig out the old bid, which he did, and he did a great job going through and taking out the construction paragraphs that were in there and changed the sand filters to BioClear and everything. And so this is the bid. If you haven't read it and you want to take time to read it, I would ask that we approve it conditionally tonight so we can get it out. And,
I would approve it conditionally.
you know,
Is this a cost, though, that's borne by the residents?
Yes. And until I get this, we can't do their budget.
No,
Another aspect of
I
that.
think we need to approve it. I've
Have the
read it.
residents weighed in on it, Bruce? Or they haven't seen it yet either?
Well, the RFP is pretty much DEC boilerplate
Okay.
that we've done year after year. It's the budget they're going to have to weigh in on. There's two big, just as an aside, there's two big factors with the budget this year. It's how much we're actually going to get from DEC, which is the calculation for the EFC funding, and the operator costs, if there's going to be any changes with that. We're projecting, in June we projected that it would be $1,164 per household for 30 years, you know, starting now, but there'll be some escalation on that. Shelley's confirming that with EFC. We still have some outstanding issues with DEC getting the grant, but it looks like we're going to get it. So we're also required to have a budget by the end of the year for this district, and we have to give it to Hyde Park because half of the district's in Hyde Park.
Now, are you concerned about having this one reviewed by our attorney?
No.
Okay.
Bruce, when you say we have to have it for our budget, do we have to have it by the November 20th, the RFP response, and put a number in?
No, we've done the public hearing, I think until a couple of years ago, the public hearings were done on the last day of the year on the Vanderburg Cove budget, and they were approved that night. They'd have special meetings and do it. But we're trying to get ahead of that. We don't have to have it in our particular budget because it's a special district.
So it's a cost that's passed on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a revenue and an expenditure.
Yeah, the only thing we have to be aware of is that the bookkeeper gets, I think, $832 or something so she's the sewer clerk out of this. It's a fixed fee, and then there's some maintenance, department labor in the budget. So those things get reflected back into our retirement and you know, Social Security type things. Even though they're paid for out of this budget,
Right.
it does
Sure.
change the overall calculations.
Right.
Okay,
So
Joe?
it increases our contribution to retirement system and...
No, it increases their earnings, but it's paid for by the district. So if somebody, let's say the clerk makes $10,000 and then gets $832 from Vanderburg Cove, it'd be $10,832 that person has earned. We only worry about the 10,000 part of it, and they only worry about the 832, but the employee got, you know, the total.
Right, so they get somehow taxed for for what it costs us,
Yeah.
the 832, and that's...
Right. So let's see, we had a motion and a second.
Yep, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 12 is a motion to approve the RFP for the building, zoning, and planning software.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Second. This RFP was presented by Christian, our CEO. I looked through it, made some changes. Pam has looked through it and made some changes, so I think it's ready to go.
The only concern I have with this is it says export from RDA, and I'm getting the impression that this is a standalone package and may not use some of the modules, the zoning and planning modules that RDA has, and I don't know how you'd factor that in, but you know, maybe Christian or somebody could look at RDA as well.
Can we come back to this when Christian comes back? I thought I saw him here a minute ago.
Okay.
Or we could make it provisional that there is like
I assume that he's left his keys and his computer here, so I assume he'll be back. Let's come back to it. Oh, here, speaking of the devil, here he is. The question has come up how your proposal for software interfaces with our RDA system, which is the system which drives our financial transactions.
Right.
Am I expressing this correctly, Bruce, here?
Yeah.
It's part of the RFP as a requirement that we need to interface with it, but I don't know how to do it.
Okay, Christian, what my concern was that the RFP says that the solution, the proposed solution will extract or export to RDA.
Okay.
And what I was saying was there are certain modules in RDA that do a lot of this work already. They have modules for zoning and planning and assessing. And I don't know how you would do that except maybe send the RFP to RDA and make sure they're included in it. But I think it would be cheaper and easier to maintain than building a standalone system that sits off on the side and then has an export-only
Right.
bridge.
So you think they may bid on this?
Yeah, as long as it's sent to them.
Yeah?
So if we can make sure that it's sent to them, I'd be happy with that.
Great.
And it makes a lot of sense if you have a system that's halfway. And we just use halfway to use, to complete so that we can use it ourselves and integrate the whole.
Yeah.
The whole, yeah.
Any further on this?
No, thank you.
Motion and second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Look, on both of these motions for where we approve the RFP, John, we put a little ad in the newspaper of public record saying that we have a RFP and it's available at Town Hall.
I'm advised this is the case.
Pardon me?
I'm advised that this is the case.
Yes.
Yeah, we have the Freeman, I think, and the Hudson Valley News are the papers that would do that. I don't know.
And also post it on our webby sitey.
And the website, too.
Ye olde.
The Observer next year.
Yeah. Item 13 is motion to authorize the road improvements at the town landfill.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Bona, what is this all
I
about?
don't even know how this happened.
Yeah.
So Joe, you're the one that went through the 40 days and 40 nights of the flood at the landfill. The beaver have moved from over by the hill, the closed landfill site, down the stream a ways. They've built dams. Bobby's been going in for the last month, breaking it down a little bit so it won't flood the aerodrome. Jeff Romano and Terry Cunningham were in there with Bobby on Friday, looking at it. We talked to the highway department, we talked to a contractor to get bids. The highway department came in with the lowest bid, and that would.
Bids did you get, Bruce?
We got two. And it was $3,678. And we wouldn't be able to open the landfill this weekend for brush, which is the busiest weekend of the year unless we do the work. And so we'd like you to approve it even though we've already done the work.
So what is the highway department going to do? Build it up or put culverts in or make a bridge?
Simple matter of building up the road, raising the height of the road. We've added in some ones and twos cobblestones and actually first put a fabric down underneath that to try and, for support cloth, and then put the cobbles, roll the fabric back over, and then put the gravel in on top and roll that out so that you're actually raising the road level up. And that's what we've done.
Won't that just trap water? We don't need like a culvert system for the water to
The beaver
run?
will dam the culvert.
Pardon me?
The beaver will dam the culvert if they're there. We have another problem. This is a temporary solution, but it was the best solution to constantly going in and trapping the beavers.
Are we allowed to remove beaver dams? I've had a property owner that got in trouble for doing that.
There's many things. Jeff needs a note from me to go and talk to the DEC to go ahead and do that. And on Friday, when we met, I said I would do that, and then I forgot. And when I saw him tonight, I remembered. But the trapping option is a difficult one, because even if you trap beaver now, they're going to come back. They're going to come back from someplace else. And we also have a side issue that the CAB members noticed, and the rest of us had probably known about for a while. The water level is getting into the closed landfill, and we're getting seepage. So it's a potential big concern for us down the road, and we want to get the DEC involved. I think that going through the CAB is the most expedient way and probably the most
Environmentally.
well, it's the most sensitive way. Let me put it that way. You know, they're willing to do it, and so that's what we want to do. But those are the aside issues, and everything else. The road is now passable, and so you can get back to the brush pile.
It makes me nervous that, and I think this would have made you nervous, Bruce, had it been done for something other than this, but to have something done and then come to ask for approval for it. Also, I think to protect our...
Can I speak to that as well?
Yes, hold one second. And to address another potential problem, I think we need to have copies of all the bids that we got for review of both the public and to make sure we've done what we were supposed to do before this was approved privately.
Okay. Well, we're going to discuss, well, I think Kathy and I will explain this. We had an unsafe issue. Mm-hmm. We had the choice of closing the brush drop-off for the weekend or making
Or postponing it, possibly?
Yeah, or making a decision based on the schedules and the probable outcome of the bids, and using keeping money internally. If you think about it, if we have internal department doing the work, I don't have to go out to bid.
That's right.
So that's the first issue. I think that one's solved. I think the second one is that Kathy's schedule was very difficult. She could do it right at that window when we talked, and couldn't do it out in the next couple of weeks. So we made a call. And
can I also say, as a liaison to the highway, I was aware of it, and it sounded very reasonable. It sounded like it was an emergency type situation that was taken care of very quickly and very efficiently.
If I could just also express, Bruce was very concerned about this timeline, knowing that you had this meeting Monday, and was trying to put it off. And I actually spoke with Bruce and said, problem is if you wait for the Monday meeting and get the approvals, I can't do the work on Wednesday or Thursday and would not be able to start and then leave it hanging. It wouldn't be done in time for the Saturday pickup, which I think Bruce is right in saying that this is probably the busiest one of the year. And the road was really, well, the road was gone. The road was really not transversable, so even as a safety issue for Bobby in his truck getting back in to do what he needs to do, or John Kilmer getting there for the Saturday. So I told Bruce, I said, we want to do this work for you, for the town. We think it's the right thing that a project like this is done by the highway department. It's cost efficient, but here's my time constraints. I can do the work on Friday and Monday and be done with it, or it has to wait until after the last Saturday of the month. So I mean, I really think, and spoke to Elizabeth about that as well, that everybody was trying to be sensitive exactly to what you raised, Gina, and knew that, you know, we would be speaking to that tonight. But I think that it was great, you know, that we could all work together and make it happen.
Maybe a little heads up to the rest of the town board could have avoided some of this concern
Kathy,
for tonight.
Joe's the one that raised it.
I'm sorry, what?
You're the one that raised it a month ago, right?
Right, something had to be done because you couldn't get back there, so we were told to put the brush in the front, so it would have to be moved. To start changing the date, people load their trucks up and trailers to bring stuff there, so you really, it's very hard to change the date.
Yeah, I didn't think, you know, because it was an internal cost and we don't, because it was the highway department doing it and we don't have to go out to bid, honestly, I didn't think it would be an issue.
Well, it sounds like it was handled very well.
Question, I still don't understand why we don't put a culvert. You said that Bruce, that if we had a culvert, the beaver would dam it up anyway.
Yeah, we have culverts farther upstream. And what they do is they hear the running water or see the running water, and they go and that's their trigger.
Right.
And they go and they pile up sticks and stuff in front of it to stop the running water. And the more culverts you put in, the more they'll do that. That's just the way they are.
Yes, I do.
We don't need a culvert
When you have
there.
beaver in the area and you do put a culvert in, or you try to unplug a culvert, that's it. They hear, their instinct kicks in, running water, plug it up, and then that's how we raise the water level and get to our food source.
So how does the water get under the road? The rock is permeable, so
It is
water
porous,
flows?
but also you do have an area over there where it will evaporate as well. There are other bigger issues with the road there. I mean, you need more extensive work done than just this if you really want to fix that, but you have to evaluate that based on what the usage is and the costs and what the town board wants to do. But for this to make it transversable for now, I mean, that's exactly what has happened, is raising that up.
And there are culverts.
We have that big truck out there that's been lying in the field, maybe we can
All right,
use
let's
that.
not go off into outer space. There are culverts.
But don't worry,
under
that
there.
truck is going to
Culvert
float
pipes
away.
under that road, but they're underwater.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What's underwater?
There's culvert pipes under that roadway that we just fixed, but they're underwater, so you don't hear the noise. Well, there's turtles in that thing. You ride by and you can wave to the turtles.
Bog turtles,
No.
landings turtles, yeah.
All right, so we're all set with that?
We didn't vote on it,
Motion
though.
and a second? Oh, we did.
Aye.
There's-
Aye.
I thought Bruce
Yeah, did,
motioned.
all in
I don't know who
favor?
Seconded.
It's been so long, you guys talk too much. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's
Opposed? So
touche,
moved.
Tom.
Okay. Item 14 is a motion to approve the budget transfers and amendments. That's
Motion.
Second.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Item 15 is the Board of Election charges options. So, as I mentioned briefly before, we have an option to pay 50% of, pay the 50% of the Board of Election costs, which is $20,088 for 2011, 2012, in two payments. One would be due by, I think, September.
90 days from
I'm
September
sorry.
4th?
Yeah, early November 4th, so I don't know, something like that. And the second payment will be due by November 15th of 2013. Of the $20,088, we have budgeted $8,000 this year, 2012 budget, so we have to come up with the $12,088 ultimately, so. So Plan A, that's the Plan A. The Plan B would be to pay the full vote and have to pay that by, I'm sorry.
90 days after we get the
receipt.
statement.
Right. After the statement from the commissioner, of the, I'm sorry, the budget director. Budget director, right? That's a
You know,
certified
it's
number.
kind of a funny thing, because we don't know what Plan B, what the actual costs are, but he's saying, well, I'll give you a discount of this unknown number. Sounds like a 50% discount is a good deal, but who knows what the actual number is.
Yep.
So any,
Maybe you ought to ask him in one of your conversations what the actual number for Plan B will be. I'm assuming A saves us money.
well, the thing is, if we got the certified number, it would have to, that's the only way to pay it. You have to pay 100%.
You have to pay, pay half or pay all of it. Let's pay half of it.
Well, it's not half of it, because we don't know what the it is. The
No,
it-
we do know.
Well, it's not the
Well, why do you know? Don't you have to know what the Plan B number is to know what the it is?
No, it says it. It's 20,000, we know what the number is for this year.
What is it?
$20,088.
$1,088.
That's the deal he's striking with
There's
you.
no-
It
there's
says
no
if you
deal.
pay me 20, $1,088, that will satisfy it.
No, what are you talking about? That's the cost for 2011, 2012.
That's right. But under Plan B, he's saying you got to pay us 100% of something. We don't know what that something is under Plan B. I'm assuming more than Plan A, but it's just an assumption.
Well,
Well, maybe we'll ask him how much Plan B would be.
Is there a deadline on this, Tom?
December 4th for half payment, correct?
But I mean, to
Yeah.
get back to them, is there a deadline?
the deadline is we have to pay, no, just to pay them by, yeah.
What they're doing is they're assuming a cost for 2012.
2011, 2012, right? That's the
Well, 11 they
assumption.
know, right?
Yeah, the
already.
assumption of
And-
both is 20,088, right?
And so they're estimating what 2012 is.
Right.
And what we have it, what we're risking is that 2012 is cheaper than half of the 2088. And, you know,
Do we know what the actual cost is for 11?
11
12,
was
I
a much
guess they
smaller
can-
year
What?
than, 11 was a much smaller year than 12. We've had primaries, it's a national election.
well, they'd have to give it to us. That's open government. They'd have to tell us what it is.
For any reason you are uncomfortable, if you're not comfortable with Plan A, you may wish to withhold any payments pending receipt of the actual charge as certified by the Commissioner of Election. If you choose this method of payment, you will be charged 100% of the actual cost for both 2011 and 2012, as opposed to 50% of the estimated costs outlined in above Plan A. Your payment of 100% of the actual cost will be due 90 days after the receipt of our statement for the 2012 certified election costs. So not until we get the certified election costs will we have to pay, we have 90 days to pay that up.
100%.
Right, so that.
Right, but if we
cost
wait
hasn't
that
started yet.
long, we don't get the good deal. What we think is the good deal.
Well, ideally, it's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be accurate. You know, that they're assuming it's accurate, and they're giving us the opportunity to pay it in halves for 2 years. So that's the idea of it. It's not that he's trying to screw us over anyway.
Yeah, no, I assume. It's just very weird to pay 50% of an
don't know,
unknown number.
I don't
or-
want to, you guys make it sound like there's some kind of a dark side of the county going on here.
No, I don't.
Paint me in that.
I'm not suggesting it.
Yeah, I was prepared to move on the
So,
Plan A 2 parts.
you know, it's up to you guys. I mean, we have $8,000 budgeted already from 2012 budget. All we got to do is come up with the,
Which we put in our budget today
Yeah, I think
towards
we
next
worked
year.
through that this
I think we,
afternoon.
I thought we did, yeah.
we can put it in part of the budget for next year to pay the rest of it, assuming it'll be at least more than what they're saying it's going to
Right,
be.
and
And I'm
if we-
sure if it's less, they won't let us have, they'll reduce it. I'll find out, but, you know.
Let's provisionally vote on it with you checking into that. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'll find out.
I think this really does make us push toward streamlining our voting districts, to save everybody money, whether
Well,
it's the county or our own citizens.
I think I think it's the only responsible thing to do.
Right, and you know, we've talked about this, and I guess I still don't know quite how it ever is going to get done.
I think they're going to come present to us, the Board of Elections. The Board of Elections is going to come present to us
Oh.
as the town board about how we could do that.
Oh, okay, somebody's invited them, and do we have a date?
Let's get through our budget
Let's-
process first, and then we'll deal with
Let's
the
get this vote
consolidation,
done
yeah.
and move on. But yes, Joe, I will follow up on that.
Okay, so we're going to do Plan A?
Please.
Yes.
A motion and a second to choose option Plan A at 50% payment this year by the December, I believe, early December, and then the second payment by November 15th of 2013. Motion and second?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's so moved. So I have a form, John, that I have to sign with this, and I guess we got to send it by December, I guess. Okay. I think we're forgetting an action item somehow.
I'm sorry.
I think we're forgetting an action item here. I can't think of what it is, though.
You think we're forgetting an action
Yeah,
item?
yeah.
Can we come back?
We'll come back to it, yeah. Yeah. Okay, items for discussion, budget workshop scheduled for October 29th, 2012 at 3. I'm going to have a hard time making that one. You guys, can we make that earlier or no?
Which date?
The 29th of October?
Hold on.
I forget why we said it was at 3.
I could do it earlier.
I could do it earlier.
Could we do a 10 o'clock one on that?
Oh, that'd be, it's always better, yeah, that's better.
We usually have office hours then, but if
Well-
we're here, then that's fine.
Right, there's usually such a rush of
I
people
know.
for office hours
They
that...
can join us for the budget. Okay.
Sometimes I show up for the free donuts and leave. You guys don't see me.
So
There's
10
free
o'clock on,
donuts?
Don't you know?
Okay, so we're
Now
going
I
to
do.
change that.
10 o'clock on 29th?
Yes.
Don't you know?
Okay, October 29th at 10 a.m. and then November 5th at,
Did we, are these the meetings that we just set earlier?
we set them
We
at,
added 2 other ones.
Okay.
we set them at 3 o'clock last time. Do you want to keep them at 3? Or you wanna
I'd
set
like
'em at
them
10?
earlier.
I'm good at 10 o'clock also,
On the 5th?
right?
Oh, so on the 5th, we want 10 o'clock with the
Right.
fire districts?
Yeah.
What time is your meeting? Don't you want to have October 26th as well?
No, the 25th at 10,
Right.
Thursday.
Is 10 o'clock okay?
10 o'clock is great.
Okay, therefore, we should change the fire department hearing at 10 a.m. at the same time. So, motion and second for those?
That's on the 5th?
Right, yeah.
Motion.
Yep.
Okay. Second?
All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? So moved.
Who will let them know?
The clerk could probably do that. We like to delegate.
Who does he notify? The
Joan could call
the
Hillside,
chiefs?
Rhinecliff.
And what was the fire department changed to?
10
10
a.m. on
a.m.
the 10 a.m. on the 5th.
On November 5th.
November 5th, 10 a.m.
Joan, you got those? You can do that. Okay. All right, discussion, policy, and procedure for the public use of town hall. Tab 15.
What's the tab number?
15.
I mean, basically, Elizabeth and I have been looking at this, and the fundamental problems are that on weekends, sometimes the facilities are not clean, if they're, on Sunday, if they were used on Saturday or Friday night, that type of a thing. So we've been bouncing around what we can do about it. And it's kind of difficult because you have some groups that pay to be here, other groups that are free, and so on and so forth. But fundamentally, what we've come up with in a nutshell is we're going to have somebody review or make sure that the building is clean on Friday. We're going to have to work with John or somebody in the building to schedule who's going to open and close the building. And we're going to probably ask for a deposit of maybe $200 to make sure that people actually do clean up the place after themselves, which with what the rules call for, and put everything back. Is that about it?
Yeah, I think there were 4 points. Whether or not we're charging a fee to everybody to cover our costs of having someone
Yeah, that was the other one.
open and close it, so that the opening and closing could ensure that we've turned town hall over in a manner that's acceptable and we receive it back the same way. We're loath to give out keys to everybody. We could consider it just feels weird, we want to make sure that the only downside is that it seems to make it more difficult for smaller groups, but we don't have the resources to do it.
We don't what?
We don't have the resources to cover this for everybody, so we'd love to make it available to groups, but we can't bear the cost of doing it.
Well, yeah, we have to work out the opening and closing part of it, because in the past, Barb was salary, and she just did that as part of her job. And I guess Joan would cover when Barb wasn't available, and we haven't worked that out with John. So Elizabeth and I have to work with John and get more of a proposal, I think.
And it doesn't have to be John. I mean, it's not fair to ask an employee, a salaried employee, to come in on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings to open and inspect town hall. You know, we're getting more and more usage, and we'd like to make it available, but it can't be a burden to our employees.
Well, there's two separate issues. The key in the opening and closing, and two is Sunday cleaning. The Sunday cleaning is really the farmer's market, because I think I don't know if anybody else uses the town hall on a Sunday.
On occasions.
But it's, I think, pretty rare. And the farmer's market has complained that sometimes the condition in the building, it hasn't been cleaned if there was somebody using it on Saturday. I hate to put a fee on the town hall, because we get a lot of small groups. They're not profit-making groups. And if you put a fee and you put a deposit and a charge, they may not be able to come up with the money. So that does concern me. And I almost rather, if the place is dirty when the farmer's market come in, let them clean it, and we'll deduct something from the fee they pay us. Because I don't think it's every Saturday. I think it's only with respect to big groups that come in on a Saturday. And I think we've been warning people that if they don't clean up, there will be a problem next time they ask for permission. So at least on the fees, I would prefer to go that way, to try to deal with it. And I think we're only talking about those Sundays where we have a big event the previous Saturday. And I don't think that happens that often. We have the dates for the farmers market. So if we have to do something, they have cleaning people, let's just give them some of their money back that we charge. With respect to the key, at least, and I'm speaking, I guess, for myself, that I think we're letting people use it who we think are responsible people. And the keys say, do not duplicate. I'm not so sure why we couldn't give a key and then get the key back. Let the people open it and instruct them how to close the building. Why do we have to pay a town employee to come and open and close? And the close won't be just when the meeting is over, I assume. The town person is not waiting at the phone, would come back at some hour, so the place is going to be open. So I'm not quite sure why we couldn't give people a key to open and close. And if we don't think the people are trustworthy, then we shouldn't be letting them use the town hall in the first place. But again, I'm concerned about raising the costs for everybody, because we have this particular problem on Sunday use where apparently sometimes they found the bathrooms dirty.
I think offering to give them back something for cleaning is problematic, but I've come around to your point about a key. We've had that before with the Church of the Messiah Hall, and with even sometimes at the elementary school when people teach classes. I think there is some way to preserve and protect the areas that are sensitive and maybe have a key that's available that's returned. I'm coming around to
Right, we
agree
wouldn't
with you
give them
on
a
that, Joe.
key to the town clerk's office. Shelley locks
Right.
the business office.
Then,
Right, but I
do we-
also, hold on, I think that one good thing that might be helpful is to have a mounted calendar of who's going to be in the town hall at what times. So everyone kind of knows, oh, who's here before us, who would that be if it was left a mess? I mean, everyone would know more. We don't have an overall schedule of the public usage of
Well, the
town
clerk
hall.
knows who
I
we've
know, but
given
I'm saying it should
permission.
maybe be posted for people to know.
Yeah, that's,
right?
yeah.
I think we'll turn it back over to you guys, and you can run with your plan.
Since you're the ones that asked us to go and
And we
look at
came
it.
up with a plan.
No,
and
I
now-
couldn't go that day, that's...
Well, we're gonna turn it right back over.
And then
so-
when you come back with a proposal, we'll comment on it.
Well, I told you what my proposal is, to give them some money back. We're willing to do that if the place is dirty.
Let's follow up next week.
Pardon me?
Follow up on this?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Follow up on this next meeting.
Yeah, okay, I'll propose that. Now, what about a key?
Next meeting?
Next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Item 3 for discussion are the fireworks for,
Well, let me just ask this
the
before we
fine,
do that. On the
application?
key, do we have people using the town hall in the next 2 weeks?
well, let's talk about that next week, 2 weeks from now.
And I also think we should.
Let's
yeah,
kill this and let's move on, okay?
Done.
The fine fireworks application discussion, who had that? They had some paperwork to follow up with, and the fire department's police department, I don't know if it was actually filled out.
It
was
looks like
filled
it's
out?
here now.
Okay. Anything, any issues that we should know about? It wasn't the last week, anyway, so. The Buttonwood Farms?
So it's not complete.
Okay. So, okay.
And the map, which wasn't here before, so.
All right, so if the neighbors are okay with it, we can move forward on it, I would think. Motion and second to approve.
Okay.
Second.
They knew, what's that? Oh, they didn't do the fire department. Okay.
I
Well,
think
let's
we
just
should
hold it
table
over.
it until,
Yeah, we
hold
have
it
to
over
hold it
until
over.
their application's complete.
Right.
And who's
I thought you
following
said
up on
so.
it?
We are.
They are. The
Thank you.
property owners are. They know they haven't, right? Okay, all right, thanks. We'll hold over then. Item 4 is the Town Tech RFP.
That's done.
And item 5 is the Web Committee Data Mitigation Update.
It's just a reminder for me I received from Joe, which I'll turn over to Joan. His page is corrected. If you could just get them back to me, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 6 is the Frost Memorial Fund letter.
This should be in your packet. This is, if you remember, several months ago, we created a capital plan for the Frost Memorial Fund trail money.
Yep.
Although we haven't gotten it yet, it's on the list of things to do. And this was a follow-up from the Frost Memorial Fund. All it is a letter of intent. They want the town board to agree to it, and then they'll start writing up the contract. I've had Pam look at it. She's okay with it. She says, you know, it's just a letter of intent. So, so I would ask that the town board say it's okay, and I guess have Tom sign it and send it back to.
I think it's great that they're going to give us $100,000. So.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky to have them in our corner. My only question on number 2, it said the maintenance of the trail will be entirely the responsibility of Rhinebeck. Do they mean the village and the town, or just the town?
Well, when we get to the IMA, down a little bit down here, you'll find out it's really the town.
The town's in our intermunicipal agreement that's
Yeah.
laid out.
Okay.
So we need a motion and second to approve accept the grant with the
Motion.
terms outlined?
Well, it's the letter of intent.
Letter of
yeah.
intent, okay. Is there a second? A second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's so moved. Item 7 is a TMP update, the park update.
Okay, there's been a lot going on with the Thompson Mazzarella Park. Joe had asked me to make sure that I publicly state that the ongoing maintenance and operations costs, that we'll have to do something to cover those because the park's going to cost more. So in here, we've done an estimate for the different phases of it, or different activities, just to get a feel, and we don't know at this time how much it's going to be. It's going to range from, the estimate is going to range from $15,000 to $30,000, depending on who we use to do the work over a year. And this will escalate with time, and this won't take place until things are actually built out, so there'll be little pieces of it going on as we go through. But then we looked at the possibility of how we could raise money, and we feel that it's very probable or very practical to offset much of the expense, if not all of it, through different activities like rentals, fees for using by the leagues that use the fields, and so on. The intent has been, and as far as I'm concerned will continue to be, that this does not become a burden to the taxpayers. So what we're going to have to do is figure out how to do things to offset the expenses once operations get going. And you can't guarantee that that's going to happen, but that's like everything else we've talked about. The next town board could say, oh no, let's charge taxes for it. So you don't know. But the intent right now is to do some type of fees or fundraising or whatever to maintain it as we go forward, as new things come online. The rest of the pitch is, there's some funding charts in there, different charts about what the park looks like. Michael is extremely involved in the park, so is Jeff in what's going on. It's been really lively lately with I guess the soccer club is coming out and being very passionate about their demands. What frustrates me with it is the people who are most passionate don't know what's happened over the last few years. They're not aware of what we've done, what we've tried to, the planning, what we've tried to do to help them specifically. And there's a lot of, it's not just the soccer, it's not just Little League, there's a lot of special interest groups that have blinders on. And I find it very frustrating because this is, I think, the showcase community project. It's the biggest project we've ever had. It's about community. It's not about any specific group or committee or board or club or anything else. It's about the whole Rhinebeck community coming together. And it's not going that way. And it hasn't been going that way for a number of years, but now it's really, really sad.
How can you fix that, Bruce?
I don't know. I really don't know at this point. I think people have to put, somehow we have to get to people that this is really about the community, and it may not be about their being able to use it, because it may not happen for 5 or 10 more years.
And it may not, everybody can't get 100% of what he or she wants. There's been an incredible, I was on the TMP committee for a minute and a half a couple of years ago, and they've worked really hard on trying to figure out what's going in here. And I've told Bruce, and if he would like the help, when this budget's done and the tech initiative's done, I'd be happy to work with him on the TMP plan. We've spent money with the infrastructure plans, with the planning of all of it, and now to have to go back and revisit it, I think would be an unnecessary burden. I think it's been very thoughtful, and I'd like to see us try and work with what we have going forward.
But thank you. It's even more than that, though. It's like the build out. We have a barn raising concept. There's we have a small amount of money. It's money that's been put away, or we have grants, or, the Thompson Trust, and we have some other things, the block grant. But we look at it and we say, well, okay, we have to pay the engineers and the contractors to do these things. But for the materials, if we can get the volunteers and maybe some town employees to help, that kind of a thing, then we can do this. We can put up this field house thing, and we can have water and stuff back there. And we can do it in a way that's environmentally and whatever the words are, responsible. But I don't see that coming, because everybody's doing this rather than saying, how can I help? And that's something that really bothers me about Rhinebeck lately, and I'm sorry to be going off on this tangent, but people used to pull together much more to get something done. It wasn't everybody, but you get a bunch of people who would come out and do something. And then it dwindled down to the same handful doing the same thing over and over again, But this is something we need to rally the community. We tried to do that with the trails and the community gardens and things, getting them in, getting them interested. And maybe it's a culture change. I don't know. But we have to somehow re-energize and reinvigorate the sense of community and people pulling together just for the common good, even if it's for a couple hours, that kind of a thing. Sorry.
Bruce, two things. One, and I thank you for your statement on maintenance costs. I think we all have to be conscious as this plan rolls out. That's one question we ask with the various alternatives. What is the maintenance cost and how is it going to be done? So I do appreciate your saying that you think maintenance will be taken care of in the fees and revenues we can raise, but I think the engineers should be thinking about that when they're proposing various alternatives. The other thing is, what is the decision-making process here? Ultimately, somebody has to decide whether there's 14 soccer fields and 17 baseball fields. Is that the committee? Is it this board? Is it our planning board? Who are the decision makers here?
My understanding is, and let me say it, and then my understanding is that the committee is advising the town board. The town board is ultimately responsible, and this was given to the committee in 2003, and the committee was expanded in 2006 to 10 members and all that kind of stuff. That the planning board, both the village and the town, say whether what we're proposing, what the committee is proposing, works or not. And then they make recommendations to the committee, and the committee can go and change its plans. Now, Michael, I'm sorry.
And then ultimately the committee presents it to the town board and the village board?
We can't do anything unless the town board lets the money go.
Basically what happened, I served on the committee for years while the master plan was developed. And the town board, at the time, the Town of Rhinebeck Town Board became the lead agency under seeker, also took the lead. The village basically deferred to the town. The town charged the committee with developing a plan for developing the park that would try to meet our recreational needs for all age groups, all different people, to the best of our ability. And Bruce is absolutely right. We spent a number of years trying to balance the needs of the whole community, looking what facilities exist elsewhere, to try and bring it together for everyone, all age groups, all interests. When you adopted the master plan, you decided how many ball fields, how many tennis courts, how many skateboard parks. You've already made that decision. That decision has been made. Any change in that decision is going to require a revisit, basically an amendment to that site plan. You're going to have to go back through seeker again. You're going to have to go back to the master plan and change it.
Back to engineering.
If you're going to make further changes, then there will be certainly greater engineering costs and things of that sort. Clearly, I genuinely believe what you have is an excellent master plan for the whole community.
So that master plan was passed by
the town board adopted it.
By town board before we were...
Right,
June 2009.
You did a generic seeker review and adopted the master plan with the understanding that each phase of implementation would have a phase-specific, in detail seeker review, a review of the engineering, the implementation, whatnot. I know now with the intermunicipal agreement, you're trying to really solve which boards are going to be involved in what. Right now, as far as the state's concerned, the town of Rhinebeck is lead agency under seeker. You were never challenged for that. Both the village, whatever permits, and I'm not familiar with the village zoning law, whatever permits they require for something of this sort, in their portion of the park, they're going to have to still issue those permits, just as the town does in our portion. I do believe there is no reason why the town and village can't share the same review of engineers, whatever other reviews we have. We can all share all that information. It's just that when it gets down to final approvals, both the town and the village are going to have responsibilities in that field. But I do believe that under the intermunicipal agreement, the town of Rhinebeck is going to be ultimately responsible for overseeing how the park is developed and overseeing its maintenance. I think there's some shared services. I think garbage pickup and things like that the village will take care of. And I think that that's going to be worked out. And I absolutely couldn't agree more with Bruce. It's kind of interesting because when you see the people using the trails, using the playground, things like that, I guess maybe going back to the old silent majority, a great many people of Rhinebeck, they don't realize their problems. They're just enjoying the park. And maybe you just got to go talk to them because they really do love it and they really are having a good time with it. And maybe we're just not hearing from all the people in the community by any stretch of the imagination.
Thank you, Mike.
I think the only real flash issue that we have right now is whether the passive grass area can be used to put little kids soccer on, right? I think that one, and that's a SHPO, we have to work with SHPO and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, people, well, like Michael said, we cast this in concrete pretty much in 2009. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Bruce, for your...
The next one is the intermunicipal agreement. Mayor Reardon doesn't want to move forward with any of this until we have a municipal agreement. So back when the pool was put in the 70s, they had an intermunicipal agreement of some sort delineating who does what. And the overall operation was charged to the town at that time. And that's why the rec committee is in the general fund and recreations is in the general fund, that kind of a thing. In 2000, whatever, 2002, 2003, when they purchased the additional land, there was an IMA that was written, and that was the agreement that this would continue on. And the only thing that the village was responsible for was garbage pickup and patrolling with the police. The town was responsible for everything else. Now the concern has been raised, who's going to pay for the engineers, who's going to pay for the attorneys, who's going to pay for this, that, and the other thing. And so we've gone through two versions of the IMA stating basically the same thing that we had before, but now we're spelling it all out, and we've also put in what grants we're going after, the $3 million something in grants, that the village is still responsible for the garbage and policing, and their planning board gets involved and will share as much as we possibly can to keep costs down, and the town does the rest. And Joe has given me input to, and I haven't added it yet, but I have it right here. So that will be version 2.5. Now, ultimately, we will take this once we have some kind of a sit-down. John is trying to get a schedule, a meeting with all the planning boards and town boards and village boards, or Joan is. So that's a scheduling nightmare, to get everybody together to talk about this. And then we'll turn it over to the attorney. And then we'll sign it and move on. So
Crawl on to the next step.
Yeah. But we're working on it, and I'm writing IMAs, and I don't know what, Joe's been helpful giving me the comments. I don't know what I'm doing with these things, so I steal from
You're
other
going to
things.
give us at least another draft of...
Yeah, but all I have are your
Incorporating your
comments now.
comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Anything else on that one?
I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank
Good,
you.
Bruce.
Thanks. Dog park?
Oh, dog park.
Doug Park.
Woof. Dog park, where we are with the dog park is, I have to do a site plan for the dog park, and I haven't had time to work on it until this weekend. I spent 4 or 5 hours, and I finally figured out how to steal things from parcel access and draw circles and measured things on it.
Oh, cool.
So I'm getting that together. Then we have the pre-planning board review or whatever it is. Yeah, I forget what the meeting is. And then, but they're gonna, go ahead.
It'll depend on where it is. If it's in the town of Red Hook, you'll have to go to the Red Hook Planning Board.
Yeah, and that's what I'm working with.
Okay.
Yeah. It is in Red Hook. That's what I'm working with. The biggest concern was that it's near a DEC wetland. The swamp between our property and the aerodrome is a DEC wetland, and I measured it, and it's 500 feet or something like that, so I'm not real worried about that. But we have, what our concern is if we ever put in fence posts, that we want to drive them in and not dig them, so that there's, the soil's broken up, that kind of a thing. Nothing more than that. I'm filling out the forms. This is working with 3 planning boards is a real learning experience. They're all different. So that's the dog park.
Oh, the Red Hook rep, I ran into him, they're still moving forward, Red Hook?
Yeah. Red Hook is very energized, and I think they're a little frustrated because I'm holding them up, but they're ready to go.
We're holding them up, not you.
Okay, well, whatever.
Item 10 is request for relief from the escrow charges. From Beverly. That's you, Gina?
This is from Beverly and Neil Kane had submitted some correspondence from something that happened in 2006 when they were going to subdivide their property, and they spent, I think, nearly $10,000, and they were ultimately unsuccessful in being able to subdivide their property. They were given a bill for some attorney's letters that were prepared and some other things that they had been billed for in the escrow, and as the correspondence states, she requested a copy of this said letter and never received one and never received a reply. So after that initial billing, and I think the total is $975, since 2006 they were never billed again. So both the Canes just presumed it was forgiven or forgotten or done away with. And just now when they came back to the zoning board to put up a pole barn, they were prepared to approve it, but based upon this payment of $975 from 6 years. So they submit, am I saying all of this correctly? Okay, so they were requesting from the town board a waiver of these past fees, and I spoke to the past supervisor that was involved in it. I spoke with Michael Trimble. He wasn't really involved in it and didn't really have much to add to it. But the prior supervisor said he couldn't recollect the specifics, but in his opinion, and again, I hope I'm stating this correctly, in his opinion, just that they hadn't been billed in 6 years says something, that there was never any attempt by us to really legitimately claim those fees.
But the letter wasn't requested from the applicant. It was requested
No, exactly.
from a town
And that's also
official.
the supervisor.
Do you think it was a mistake? Is this a clerical error in billing or something that just got?
We don't usually bill. As far as I know, the way we collect escrow is, yeah, we tell people they got to put more money in, and we don't proceed unless they put more money in. I don't think there's a time that we have to send out bills, but I guess I had some questions. Do we know if we even paid these people for these services? I think that's one of the things we ought to find out as to whether we're out of pocket or not, or they never got paid.
Yeah,
because under our current procedures,
there.
pardon me?
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
we
paid.
paid for it, and in March of 2008, we asked them for the money.
Okay, so we did actually pay for these?
Yeah.
Okay. So that-
Although, in this one, the one that was apparently this letter that was requested, it says bills in 435. There was never a thing put in saying bills paid. Do you see that?
Yeah, but I'm looking at the March 21st, 2008 letter, where we're asking them for $975.
Which tab is this, Bruce?
21. This is great, John.
It's fabulous.
I know, isn't it?
It's so sad that we're so excited by our
I'll have to get them
tabulation.
color-coded next.
I'm sorry, which letter are you referring to, Bruce? This is the,
If you flip through
Back number 3?
the third or fourth page.
oh, okay, March 21,
Yeah,
where we tell them what the outstanding balance is. But we say so that we may process payment, which kind of indicates maybe at that point we didn't process payment, but you think we did actually pay it?
yeah, because there's the ledger there.
Yeah, but the ledger says that we didn't pay it. At least that one of 435 and 180.
Well, then they're submitted bills, and the town board, according to these vouchers, authorized the payment of them. I don't know, I don't.
I guess we
What are
gotta-
we asking for
What's the
here?
recommendation? I don't understand.
But I guess we got to find out more about it.
Yeah,
That's my
let's
thing,
do
as
that.
to whether or not we...
Oh, yes, here it is on the voucher, Bruce, for the 435 right here.
But
Although
it's-
it was never entered into the ledger.
But even if we paid it, it could have been something that was paid and shouldn't be attributed to the
The
petitioners.
petitioner.
So-
Exactly.
You're
That may
saying-
be, but in terms of waiving, I would feel a lot better waiving it if we never paid it, and we're not going to have to pay it because the vendor isn't beating on us. I guess the other thing I got out of this is, and I don't know, Beverly, if this is part of your claim, that the advice you got from the planning board was goofy, that you can check for historical evidence while excavating
Save all
is
this
going on.
on it.
Is that part of your claim, that the advice you got was not workable and,
Well, that's what I had stated in letters that I sent, but that's not really the part of this discussion.
so your claim is just because a lot of time has gone by, you shouldn't have to pay it?
No, I believe that I requested information that I was never provided.
She doesn't even know, sorry.
And she never even got a response.
Well, no, we'll give her a response, you know.
Not only that, but as I understand it, you don't even know what the letter was for that was being charged from the attorney. So there's the fact that you don't know what the letter was that was, the service that was provided wasn't even to you, it was to somebody else, probably a town official. Is that kind of,
Evidently, I never saw it.
okay.
I told us
No, we got to audit this.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I don't, unfortunately, it's holding up another process. I don't know how we,
Well, here it is, the outstanding things that haven't been paid. So I think at least in this 435 and 180, the town is not actually out any money because it was never paid.
okay.
So I think that speaks somewhat to your concern, Joe.
Yeah, I would separate it as to what we're out of pocket, because then we're asking the taxpayers to pay it, and what hasn't been paid yet.
Well, it's 6 years ago. We've closed the year out.
Exactly.
It's done. Gina's saying, and the petitioner is saying that it seems as though they're being billed for something that was requested by the town for the town's satisfaction of,
We don't know what it is. Apparently, we don't have a copy of it either, right?
No, I checked.
Right.
At least I couldn't find.
well, is,
I'm lost. The 435 was 2.5 hours at 2.9 hours at $150, right? We paid that to Raplansky.
It doesn't have paid check number here anywhere.
But it's a signed voucher. That's what I don't
I
understand.
know it's a signed voucher, but there's no paid entry
21?
with paid check number.
But you get we would have to look on the abstract for, at that time to see whether it was paid. You can't Just because it doesn't have a check number on here doesn't mean that it wasn't paid.
Well,
I
the
think,
other
I think
ones
we
are
gotta do a
listed
little
as
more
being paid.
investigation with this.
I agree.
Okay, well, who's going to do that investigation?
Well, whose department is it? Is it, you're the liaison?
I'm zoning, Joe's planning.
And this is ZBA, right? Yes, that's whoever's got ZBA.
That's Tom and I.
Oh, good.
I'm prepared to let it go. I think they've suffered enough. That's my opinion.
So the taxpayers ought to bear it if somebody has suffered enough.
I think we were remiss for 6 years without sending out a follow-up bill. We were remiss for not responding to her
Well,
timely
we sent out a letter in
complaints.
2008,
And that was the last.
The land fell.
right? But that's not 6 years ago, is it?
Crap, now she's gonna let this go.
I don't know. How far back do you want me to check the things that haven't been paid?
I think,
Jadine should come up with the documents that proves that they owe money. If she can't come up with the documents that proves that they owe money, then we should forgive this and move on.
Okay,
But it's Jadine that's the one that's got to do it.
all right.
So we want the bill and whether or not it's been paid. That's what we're asking for.
Well, there are multiple bills.
Yeah, for each one.
There's a matter that, an application that's being held up because of this, though, I think, right, on your property?
Yes, exactly.
And how far are you in the process of that? Is there something, what's going on with it? Is there something that we?
It's ready for approval barring this outstanding bill.
Frankly, that's our leverage. That's how we collect monies that were owed, is we don't proceed with the matter.
why don't we make a
Maybe-
motion to have Gina just make sure that we're not owed anything? If we're not owed anything, let's approve now to move on. It's 6 years.
I'm with you on that.
Right.
Well, why don't we schedule this for a workshop and, report
Well, how
back
about if I
in a-
have it by
in a week?
Thursday? But let's go ahead and approve it unless I find outstanding bills by Thursday, our meeting, whatever we have scheduled on Thursday.
We have a Monday, the 29th meeting.
We have
Oh, actually, yeah,
the
Thursday, you're right,
25th,
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would be more
Got enough
comfortable
time?
getting the information before we do a conditional approval, frankly.
Is that too soon for you? Thursday?
I don't think it's too soon. I'll
Okay.
call JD first thing in the morning. Well, I think we can go ahead and vote, though, Joe, even if you disagree.
Yeah,
I'd like to make a motion then that we conditionally approve this unless I find any outstanding bills and evidence thereof.
What do you mean
by
conditionally approve?
their waiving of these fees.
We can do that by Thursday. We can have it as part of the special meeting Thursday.
Exactly.
Wanna
yeah,
do
see,
that?
I don't know what conditionally approved means as to what we want Gina to come back with, other than,
Proof of payment or proof of outstanding bills or proof of payment thereof, of any of these charges.
so if we haven't paid, that means we'll waive. If we have paid, then we don't waive. Is that what you're saying?
That's, I think, then we'll have to consider that.
When we say consider it, but we're conditionally approving it tonight, if we conditionally approve, so we got to know
Well, maybe
what we're
J.D.
approving.
actually has evidence of this letter that cost $485.
Right, maybe she does, but that's what I'm saying. Let's wait and see what she has, so we know exactly what we're doing.
Can we, so we'll have a special meeting on this on Thursday?
Yes.
Is there a motion and second to approve for,
Adding it to our agenda on Thursday?
right,
Motion?
Second?
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's so moved.
John, you got that for our
So
Thursday
it's
meeting?
this Thursday?
Yep, 10 o'clock.
This Thursday, okay.
And really, I guess we're looking for, I mean, I see
my motion
some
to use
itemized
second.
things on here, but in relation to the property, but I don't see how it relates to how it should be drawn from an escrow account. I don't know. See what you can get,
Okay.
I think, you know. All right.
It's turned into a meeting because we're going to deal with this.
Yeah.
So you'll be involved in that.
Thursday,
Thursday morning at 10.
10 o'clock? Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
All right. Okay, item 11, the last item for discussion would be the zoning review group update. So we've been meeting, the zoning review group is a group of myself and Councilwoman Spenzia as sort of the backseat liaisons to the group, which is the planning chair, Michael Tremble, the zoning board of appeals chairman, David Waldoff, and our town attorney for planning and zoning, John Lyons, who is volunteering for this group. And the idea of the group is to review zoning obstacles or
Quirks.
policy issues, not something substantive that the boards have run into since the adoption of the comprehensive plan law and zoning law and freshwater wetlands law that were approved about 3 years ago, nearly 3 years ago. There are some items that have surfaced that have kind of sort of led us to review these, review the zoning law. So what has happened is John Lyons has sort of developed guidelines with Michael and David to sort of give us direction on how to proceed. I think I'll let you go, Michael, because you can probably deliver this better than I can right now. And,
You should all have a copy of Town Board Policy Statement on Petitions for Zoning Amendments.
Yes.
Basically, what we figured in the committee, what our committee is supposed to do is just deal with what we call the nuts and bolts. Definitions that are maybe misleading, procedural issues, things of that sort. Not uses, not things of that sort. However, the town board has a number of issues before it which deal specifically with uses, with specific needs of specific individuals. And they need to be addressed in some way or form. So what John has put together, basically, is a procedure for the town board to follow in dealing with, such as the core group situation, things of that sort. But you're never obligated to take up a petition for a zoning change. However, this is a policy, a procedure here, which basically requires whoever wants a change for their particular property or a group of properties or a zone or something, to basically do the legwork, to do all the work, to actually come before you with a fully fleshed out plan of what they want, why it, why you ought to do it, how it's going to influence and impact the community for good or bad, and give you a way to then go forward using their work, so establish an escrow account, just as you do. Basically, if someone comes before the planning board, they want site plan or special permit, except you're doing it for a zoning amendment. The cost will be borne by the applicant. They're going to need complete information for you to look at, and once again, you're under no obligation to grant whatever they're asking for. But I think this is a pretty good procedure for at least getting it in front of you in such a way that you can understand what they're asking for and what the implications are. Clearly, people, it can open a Pandora's box as soon as you start accepting certain applications. You can see them rolling in. But if people realize they really have to go to the trouble to really give you full information on it, and it's not going to be a simple process, it's not going to be a cheap process. They're going to have a professional planner help them. They may need an engineer. They may need legal advice as well as to how this would go. But when they come before you, they should be able to really present you with everything you need to make a good, reasonable, well-considered decision on whether or not to accept their amendment petition.
This is a fantastic document that...
John did a great job with this.
really
I'm
did.
very grateful to John, to you,
He did a
to
super
David. It takes the onus off us, and it gives us a uniform policy, so that if somebody comes in and wants a zoning change, we say, here you go. You have to present us with a package, you have to tie it up neatly so that we can vet it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, and I'm very grateful for it. It makes it very, it's an elegant solution.
And it's not your job. You're, in this essence, you're like the planner. You're the reviewing board. You're not the one to develop the plan
No.
or develop what the proposal is. You're to
No.
review it, see whether or not it's in the community's best interest, and then make your decision.
This is a great
This should
first
help.
project for this committee, which is Wonderful. I think we're going to meet and come up with a list of other things that we have to consider.
You could put under it. And John suggested do it as a policy, not as a local law.
No,
So
I-
it'll guide what you do, but you're not constrained by it. If you feel you need to change something for some
No,
reason, you have the freedom to do
We have
that.
several people who've come before us. Should we forward this to them, or?
Once you guys accept it as a policy for the town board to use in addressing zoning amendments, then I think you're in a position to do that. You need to feel comfortable with it, and then yes, that's the best way. And then what our committee will do is we'll go back to trying to make sure we have the right definitions in the law, the right procedures, that any inconsistencies in the law are cleared up, any internal contradictions, things of that sort. That's really what our function as a committee is to just try to clean up the law from a procedural standpoint. This will hopefully deal with, policy situations, uses, area changes, zoning change, things of that sort. That's the idea anyway.
Michael?
I'm very comfortable with it, but Tom and I have had a lot of time with it, and I'm grateful. It's
It's a start.
a good, strong start.
good
so
start.
thank you.
Right, could I ask a couple questions?
Yep.
What is the CICP professional planner? And I assume when somebody comes in with one of these planners, we're going to have our own planner look at the document?
That's entirely up to you. You're going to establish an escrow account to pay for any reviews that you feel need to be done on the documentation given to you, just as the planning board does.
Yeah, I think the idea behind that was that it kind of, this kind of is telling somebody, you want something changed for your property, you got to do a professional job. You can't just come in here to the town board and expect us to tear it
Right.
apart for you.
No,
They got to package it.
I understand all that. My only point is, and I don't know if I really feel it, that we're going to let them use any planner that they want that is certified. So they could come up with a planner who really doesn't know anything about our zoning law and comprehensive
Well, that's
plan,
their-
so we
Yeah,
could have a
that's their
whole
mistake.
variation.
Well, they'd have
That's
to,
their
they would have to refer to
responsibility.
it. It's their
They would have to what?
responsibility. It's their responsibility for their planner to educate themselves as to our comp plan, our LWRP, our zoning regulations. The onus is on them.
I would suggest that anyone that's going to hire a planner, hire one that knows something about their community.
Another thing I would add is that in our zoning law, any amendment to the zoning law has to be referred to the planning board by the town board for advisory opinion.
So we'll always have your advice,
You'll
which
always-
may include that we ought to hire a planner to look at
Absolutely.
this.
Which will be paid for through escrow funds by the applicant.
So we shouldn't, where I was going, does it make sense to recommend saying the following planners are familiar with?
I don't think,
No.
no, the town, you can't do that legally.
Arm's length.
Yeah, you can't do
Absolutely
that.
arm's length, because that would be steering business.
Okay, I have no problem with that.
Good.
I just want to thank Tom and Elizabeth, too, because they've been very helpful at getting this going, keeping us on this, and I think, in short order, I think we're going to be able to really resolve a lot of just the bumps that we have in the road and make things just a lot smoother for everybody, which I think will be very helpful. So I appreciate your guys' help.
Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Should, Tom, do we have to, should I email, or would you like to email, want me to email John and just say we discussed it, we approved it? Let's,
I don't know if these notes on the bottom are something that have to be added to it.
That's from Mike.
Well, don't we have to adopt it as our policy?
The policy.
Don't we need a motion?
Let's go back to John with this, send it back to him, because
Yeah.
I know we wanted to make sure that in this policy, it's in the law, but in the policy that the referral to the planning board and the CAB is in there, just to make sure
Right.
that that's covered. And there's another one here.
which I can't read at all.
Oh, that's to allow us to get back to nuts and bolts for our committee. That's just, so
Really,
this-
you can read that?
Well, I wrote it, so.
Can't we
Actually,
approve it in concept?
I wish I could read it, but, I think
I
that's what
think
I
we
wrote.
approve it in concept, and then in our next meeting,
Yeah.
or I'll email John
And let him
know
polish
that.
it up a little bit, so that
Yes.
it's
We can
fully,
formally adopt it.
and anything in here that's
I
not
don't think,
clear
I
to
think
you.
we can adopt it now,
We adopt it now?
pending.
In concept.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, we
Thank
don't-
And
you.
let him know anything you want clarified, so the language is very clear in your heads, you know exactly what's being asked of you and of the applicants.
right,
Well, I read it and I understood it, which was weird, so.
okay. So a motion and second to adopt a town board policy statement on petitions for zoning amendments. A motion, is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
All right.
Aye,
Aye.
Opposed?
well done,
So moved.
guys.
Great.
John.
So I make a motion, we go into, very briefly, if you can.
Joel's got money.
Joel's got
I wish I had money. I will carry forth the message that you don't like the sales tax revenue sharing cut. You know, I've been.
If you could just carry our resolution, actually, that'd be
I will do it.
great.
I actually, there weren't any left here, but I begged, borrowed, and stole from Jeff Romano behind me. I actually have a copy of the resolution. I was making corrections, but I'll ask John or Joan to email me the correct.
Well, you should get a certified copy of the resolution. He'll give you a certified copy of both
Something you may,
resolutions.
I would love to carry that forth. Something you may want to think about is, and I would love to join you for this, but I don't have to join you for this, is a press conference with other elected officials.
I think we're good.
All right, just thought I'd put it out there. But, you know, and I will also carry forth the message about the, you know, the less revenue sharing as far as taking care of River Road. And, I mean, I've been strong for several years now. There's been a lot of attempts. You know, I've always fought against the chargebacks on the Board of Elections. And even when the previous county executive wanted the towns to pay for sheriff's patrols. So just so you know where I stand. Next Monday in this room, I'm doing a forum about, there's 5 municipalities in Westchester County that have a great program I'm trying to bring here to Dutchess County. It's a heating oil discount plan. Cortland, Putnam Valley, Summers, Yorktown, and Peekskill. They have thousands of homeowners that are saving $250 every winter on the cost of home heating oil. And it's costing the municipalities hardly anything because the private heating oil delivery companies voluntarily, to get publicity on the town websites, are cutting the price of a gallon of oil by 20, 25, 30 cents. So that's next Monday at 6 p.m. After you guys are done, no rush with your having a budget workshop meeting next, or some sort of a meeting. So after you guys are all done, 6 o'clock here in this room for that. What happened a few weeks ago during the October full board meeting of the county legislature, finally a new county historian was appointed. You know about the county executives had this online county budget survey, and finally, you know, reaching out to the municipalities as far as a countywide municipal health insurance consortium. I do have problems and issues with some of the stuff that the county executive is pushing, but those 3 things, a county historian, an online budget survey, and a municipal health insurance consortium, those are 3 things, frankly, that I've been pushing for a long, long time that I've helped make happen. So I thank the county executive for making those 3 things happen. Another thing is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My mom is a breast cancer survivor. For about 8 years now, I've been pushing for the precautionary principle to be made real. Just 48 hours notice before pesticides are sprayed within a 48-hour within I think it's a 150-foot area. 70% of the people who live in New York State live in counties that have this. So I'm just saying now is the time to lift our voices on that. As far as the county jail, the county executive disclosed recently he's favoring, at the cost of about $20,000 per jail cell, the construction, rental, maintenance, operation of $4 million for 200 new jail cell pods, which is much less, certainly, than a $126 million 500-bed jail. But I'm just letting people know, because I've done a lot of research on this over the last decade. A comm alert system reentry in Brooklyn, for a fraction of that, we could be slashing the recidivism rate by 75%. The Newark program, all these programs in Albany, Father Peter Young. But I'm just letting you know the latest and greatest, quote-unquote, plan is $4 million for, and half of that would be for a construction and rental, and the other half would be to staff 200 new jail cell pods, and I'm not in favor of that personally.
Is that going to satisfy the what do you call it, the housing out of inmates? Because I know we pay about over $5 million a year in housing out inmates.
It's actually gotten to be about $8 million a year.
Is it?
But I think a lot of us are aware that if and when those 200 jail cell pods are put in for $4 million a year, which is a savings, then it's only going to be a matter of time where the rationale is, well, hey, this means we just got to, build the real deal. And I'm saying that there are, if you look at the Brooklyn Common Alert system, if you look at Albany and Father Peter Young, the Newark Fraternity for Dads Behind Bars that cut the recidivism rate from 65% to 3%, all the programs that used to be for kids in Dutchess County, the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, YWCA, YMCA, on down the line, there's other ways to go about it. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's a bunch of Republicans and Democrats who live in Rhinebeck who've been reaching out to me on the homeless issue. We had some sponsorship last month that wasn't allowed onto the agenda for committee day. It should be allowed onto the agenda for in the next week or two. This has been in the papers, in the media. Hudson River Housing kicking people out of the homeless shelter after 4 months, forcing them to pay $10 a night after 2 months. And there are Republicans actually in Rhinebeck who've reached out to me to say, where do you think a homeless person is going to get $10 each night? So the Democratic caucus seems to be solidifying on that. I'm hoping to get some other folks on the other side of the aisle. Green Jobs, Green New York. All you have to do is go to google.com, NYSERDA, Green Jobs, Green New York. 95% of people in Dutchess County are eligible. The homeowners are eligible for 100% free energy audits. And we're trying to make that happen like a friendly competition among the municipalities in Dutchess County to see which town, city, village has the highest per capita percentage of homeowners taking advantage of that. I would love to work with you guys on that issue. The only other thing I would say is, the stops have not been all pulled out when it comes to the county budget. You don't have to look at those if you don't want to, but part of what's in that packet is a WAMC piece from a couple years ago about Schenectady County saving $13 million with the Canadian prescription drug option. The FDA is not cracking down on any county, municipality. Springfield, Massachusetts has been doing this. We could save $1 million a year on a county level with an option, not mandating or forcing county employees, just with an option for county employees and retirees to get reimbursed for prescription drugs from Canada. $1 million out of a county-wide $411 million budget may not sound like a lot of money, but to Town of Rhinebeck, who's feeling the hurt, and you guys are devoting a lot of time and energy, understandably, to fighting the $42,000 sales tax revenue sharing cut, it was because of municipalities pushing the county that finally a project that I was working on for years, the Countywide Municipal Health Insurance Consortium, that's becoming a reality. I'm asking you to also consider, not tonight, at some point in the next month or 2 or 3, talking to the folks that we all know running county government for Canadian prescription drug option, because it could save a lot of money and it would avoid this insanity on a local level. That's the only thing. I would just say that 90% of small business owners make less than $250,000 a year, and I'm not going to go through the whole long tirade I went through last month, but there's a lot of money. There's 128,000 tax filers in Dutchess County. There's 518 tax filers in Dutchess County who file at over $500,000. They're paying each year $25 million less in federal income taxes. Okay, and all the politicians that I know say that 90% of say that all the new jobs are coming from small business, and 90% of small business owners make less than $250,000 a year. What am I saying? If we don't want to be dealing with more and more budget cuts, the Young Rhinebeck and Sinterklaas has already been cut, and all the programs, just down the street at Good Shepherd Church, the Office for the Aging, the Senior Friendship Center used to be 5 days a week. Now it's 4 days a week. I can't even go into all the county budget cuts that have happened. I'm just saying that unless you want to see property and sales taxes go through the roof and even less money from the county, you might want to consider working with me to look into progressive alternative revenue solutions. Thanks for your patience. Happy Hanukkah, happy Halloween.
Joel? Hey, the Rhinebeck boys did beat Ellenville, so they're going to be in the Mahals Championship on Thursday night.
Oh, so you got one more game to go to.
Good.
Oh, good.
Now, we're going to schedule a meeting, though.
So I make a motion, we go into executive session to discuss possible litigation and personnel matters.
Will we be making any decisions?
I think, yes, I think we may make a decision as to a possible engagement. I guess that becomes public.
Oh, an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, fair enough.
Okay. Thank you, Fred.
Yeah, record?
Sure. So, you want to make a motion?
Yeah. Tom, I'd like to move to hire Jim Potter and the law firm of Hidman and Stroud to represent the town in bringing a lawsuit against the state for indemnity under the Greenway law for our expenses, as per his letter of October 19, 2012, which offers 3 options, and my motion is that we take option 3, which is a contingent fee.
And authorize the supervisor to sign.
And
said-
authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement for the representation.
I'll second that. So all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's so moved. And motion to adjourn. How's the, well, what's the score? They won, right?
We
Oh,
won
yeah,
2-0.
okay, all right. So all in favor, aye?
Aye.
So moved.
Thanks.
We shouldn't schedule another meeting for the
And
next day?
John, you have, I think,